Deep breaths. Hello, everyone. Greetings. I have come once again to share some thoughts, to wish you a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, whenever you see this, wherever you happen to be. I'm Adam Abraham, and I am. I got stuff to talk about. My goodness, I got things to share. I have today, in fact, I'll just start right here. I I call this cooperative resilience for sketchy times. Now, do you have this sense of the times are sketchy? What are sketchy times? You got things breaking down or appearing to break down, and the appearance of ends of this, and a lot of uneasiness and anxiety and all of that kind of stuff. And um, some people think that's all that they can look forward to. And a lot of people, uh, you talk about being sick and tired of being sick and tired. Well, yeah, but being sick and tired are states of mind, actually. And we have an option, we have abilities to transcend those things. Um, and it even begins there in the mind, too. But maybe I get ahead of myself. The reason I talked about cooperative resilience is continuing the theme of my conversations, my discourses, my talks, whatever I do. You know, in one respect, it seems like I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. But it's because things are happening. People are thinking about and planning different types of things that could very likely create even more stress for people who do not have or who have not created an option. And you know something, when you have a viable option for whatever it is you see as a problem, um, your stress levels go down, and the problem itself, whatever it was, whether it was even justified in the first place, tends to become a non-factor, or certainly a reduced uh, impact. And that's really kind of what we're looking to do, is to have a reduced impact on what's working out and what's being planned, etc. And again, if you've seen my other presentations, my other talks, I'm talking about cooperative. Um, I call it income, wealth building, asset value, all those types of things. And I'll get more specific, but I tend to be somewhat extemporaneous, so we're going to go with that. Now, before I begin here, I have two videos that I want to share with you, and they are just examples of one, conditions that are happening. That's the first one. And the second is some of the stuff that's planned. Okay. And the direction, and you can see for yourself how these things may play out or could play out if you do not have some suitable method, some suitable plan of action that will actually mitigate the effects. If all this is making sense to you, I'm great. I'm happy to hear that. And I will get right into this. It's the way I talk. Okay. Let's see here. First, we're going to start with a video. This is from CBS Mornings, and this was just a couple days ago. I'll start to roll it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll bring the screen up. Now, let me just bring the screen up first and roll.
As the Federal Reserve considers raising interest rates today, car buyers will be watching closely. The average monthly payment for a new vehicle is now more than $700 a month and more than $550 a month for a used one. That's up as much as 32% from pre-pandemic levels, in part because of higher interest rates. So what can you do to get the best possible deal and drive the car of your dreams off the dealer's lot? Nancy Chen has some tips on how to navigate your way around this very tough market.
At Lee Auto Mall just outside Portland, Maine, it's been hard to keep cars on the lot.
What's the average price of a car right now?
The average price about $48,000 to $50,000.
Adam Lee owns 16 dealerships and says business has been especially good the past 3 years. But high sticker prices, fueled by high demand, combined with high interest rates, are making it increasingly challenging for buyers.
We're still seeing very strong demand, but you can feel it that it's slowing down.
Although prices have dipped slightly from historic levels,
You see that growing share of buyers pay $1,000 plus for monthly auto payments. I mean, wow.
new cars still come out to nearly $50,000 and used $28,000 on average. Combined with APRs that can be as much as 11%, monthly payments are skyrocketing. 1 in 6 people who have recently financed a new car committed to monthly payments of $1,000 or more, the highest on record.
What is the concern down the line if interest rates keep going up?
Most dealers borrow money to pay for their cars, and at some point that will start to have an impact. If rates keep going up and people can't buy cars, it means we won't order more cars.
So it locks up everything.
It does.
Demetrius Thrasher depends on his vehicle to make food deliveries just outside Atlanta. After a crash totaled his previous car last summer, the Navy veteran reluctantly purchased a new one for about $25,000 more than he wanted to spend.
I called around to the other dealerships throughout the state of Georgia, and they were like, we got nothing.
Thrasher says he's now paying about $1,000 a month for his car and has had to defer payments twice. He's not alone. Delinquencies for auto loans 60 days or more past due is up 20% from last year.
Consumers are served a double whammy because car prices are high and interest rates are high.
Jessica Caldwell analyzes auto transactions for Edmunds, a car shopping platform for new and used vehicles. She says there is a bright spot for those looking for a car now.
We are seeing some automakers actually offer incentives, and we haven't seen that in a while.
Also, make sure to shop car loans for the best deal on interest rates and terms, and be patient.
Is there a sense of drive the car until the wheels fall off?
I think that there really is that sentiment, and that honestly is the best advice.
For CBS Mornings, Nancy Chen, Westbrook, Maine.
All right, let me continue here. So you see what's happening, and that's just for car loans. If that's the case for cars, what's happening with homes? For one thing, they've got more years, but they say that it's just interest rates. That's mostly, they say the contributing factor are interest rates. What they're not saying is the devaluation, the depletion, the decline in the value of each dollar by its dilution, by standard monetary policies. And so this is clearly going to do nothing but continue to go up. Now, if you don't have a way to stick with this, because most people are simply trading time for money. And there's only so much time in the life, there's only so much time in the day, for example, that's available. And if the way you're presently making an income and getting your ability to pay for these things is by trading your time for money, you're going up against a wall. Okay. The amount of time is fixed, and we don't know how long or short that is. And the amount of money is changing, but the value of it is going down. So here's the other thing, and that has to do with plans for, again, monetary. Same people that are really managing the money supply have been managing the money supply. This is more from those people, so to speak. So here we go. This one, I'll start it. I may stop this, or we may go through the whole thing. We'll see.
At a CBDC, it's possible that they will not allow people to even buy precious metals.
Hold on. I'm going right to the beginning of this.
I am
Here
going
we
to
go.
establish a government market for gold at prices to be determined from time to time.
I directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
Our own FedNow service will be coming online in 2023. We are examining whether a U.S. central bank digital currency would improve upon what is an already safe and efficient domestic payment system. A U.S. CBDC could also potentially help maintain the dollar's international standing.
By May 1st, 1933, FDR required Americans to turn their gold into the government by making it illegal to own. And this was the beginning of the end of our freedoms. Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard on August 15th, 1971. At this point, the dollar became a fiat currency, and once again, our freedoms were eroded away. One of my favorite Thomas Jefferson quotes, "Paper is poverty. It is only the ghost of money and not money itself." And
Well, that is that is so for other reasons as well. I will continue though. Let them go.
just yesterday, March 15th, 2023, the Federal Reserve announced a July launch for the FedNow service. And check this out. The first week of April, the Federal Reserve will begin the formal certification of participants for launch of the service. So that means we're just a couple of weeks away from the end game.
We're in the end game now.
If you're not familiar with what the FedNow service is, that's what I want to go over in this video. It is essentially the infrastructure for a central bank digital currency, which will mean we no longer have any more freedoms. All of our freedoms will be completely gone because the government will be able to control one side of every transaction that takes place. So they will be able to control everything. We will
Now, I'm bringing this up for your information, for your understanding, so to speak, because these things are happening. The conclusion that you have no more freedoms is another story. And I'm not saying this from the standpoint of welcoming what's coming on. But the point is, you have the freedom to create something else so that you are not impacted by these things. There always exists, you know, you can paint yourself in a corner, but you can also create yourself a door, okay, to get out, or a window or something, okay? So we want to mitigate the ill effects of this stuff. We do not want to be constrained and have our freedoms, our true freedoms, constrained by it. But we have to also use our freedom of our freedom to choose to be creative, inventive, courageous. We got to do some of those things too. But I'm going to play this a little further and make some comments, and then we'll talk about this cooperative system, because that is the answer. We're turning to platforms, we're turning to commodities, we're turning to many other things. And actually, the one thing we are not considering doing, because typically there's been no option to do it, that would be usable or workable, is turning to each other. So I'll play this a little bit more, and then we'll get into that.
complete totalitarian control, and it starts in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for watching my video. I do sincerely appreciate it. We're going to start here with the federalreserve.gov press release. This came out just yesterday, so it is breaking news. However, the FedNow service has been talked about for a number of months, and we've not known until now when they were actually going to be launching this program. But essentially, this is going to be a way for people to bank directly with the Fed, as the name implies, FedNow service, and be able to send and receive money instantly. So what I actually want to do is scroll down to the About the FedNow service, and we're going to read this paragraph here. So it starts off, the Federal Reserve banks are developing the FedNow service to facilitate nationwide reach of instant payment services by financial institutions, regardless of size or geographic location, around the clock, every day of the year. Through financial institutions participating in the FedNow service, businesses and individuals will be able to send and receive instant payments at any time of day, and recipients will have full access to funds immediately, giving them greater flexibility to manage their money and make time-sensitive payments. Access will be provided through the Federal Reserve's FedLine network, which serves more than 10,000 financial institutions directly or through their agents. For more information, visit FedNowExplorer.org. So basically, this is going to be a new bank account that people can sign up for. I kind of like to think of it as the PayPal that the government is sponsoring, right?
That's a
And
good
this
analogy.
in itself is not a central bank digital currency. However, for a central bank digital currency to work, something like this is going to need to be in place. So this is the infrastructure for a CBDC. So they're building the railroad tracks. Once those are in place, then they can run the train on the tracks. So the CBDC will be the train. The FedNow service is what the train will run on. Now, the Federal Reserve is not just going to come out and say, look, your freedom is gone. We're here, we're taking over, you had a good run, but now we are in control. They're not going to say that. They're going to do this in layers, right? And this is the first layer. It's the first step for them being able to take over and get complete control. So with this being launched in just a few weeks, with them starting to sign people on, this is where they get all of the control. This is where they eventually phase out cash, and they're going to force everyone to sign up for this service. So when it launches, I'm not going to sign up for it. You're probably not going to sign up for it. Most people are not going to want to participate in this pilot program. Most people are going to see through what they're trying to do. However, some people will sign up for it. They're not going to understand because the Fed has come out and said, look, this is not dangerous. This is so that you can send money faster. They're trying to paint it in a good light, but we know what they're really doing.
Now, I don't know for sure. I have watched several videos on the CBDC. And again, I brought this up, first of all, because of the timeliness of it. This press release was from 2 weeks ago, March 15th, as of, today, so to speak. Now, but the thing that's of relevance here is that anyone who is receiving what's considered welfare payments or receiving income directly from the government, so to speak, that includes Social Security. It may include the military. It may, anyone who is considered a government worker, they could be or would be, he's saying forced. Well, that's the source or would be the source of their the funds that they receive. They are basically citing an equivalence of a dollar bill, but there's no dollar bill anymore. I mean, all dollars are basically, this is all mind stuff anyway. We are used to this idea of something called a dollar or currency, but ultimately these are simply what we have been using. These have been pieces of paper and pieces of metal that we've used to exchange. And what have we actually been exchanging? We've been exchanging value for people doing work, for services that are rendered. It is value. And the thing about it is that the true source of value is you, is me. We are it. And yet, when we have put it into the form of these things called dollars, that becomes the presumption, the medium, or how we think of ourselves as value. We have extended and transferred our sense of value to the money we have or the stuff that we've acquired with the money. And the other thing is really interesting when you start thinking about it. Our actual sense of value has been devalued, has been worn down for so long that if you want to do anything, you want to buy a new car, you want to buy an old car at this point in time, what do you have to do? Most people have to, or choose to, or one reason or another, go to someone else and ask for and apply for loans. They're not going there simply because they have enough coming in, and it's not something that you just have happen. It's something that you create. So our education system, our management, our sense of what we should be doing in our life, it has us taking in a whole bunch of information about this and that and the other, having us reciting all this information, getting grades for it, and having us in the habit of going to someone else to seek permission for something that they actually grant to us before we can do something that we want to do. That is what, by the time you get out of a school or an education system, that's what you're trained to do. The better you do that, the better grades you get doing those things, the the more, at least the belief is, that you've got a better shot at doing something, what? Getting some funds in. But what most people don't notice is that when you get through that entire education system, what so many of the students are in is in debt. They're in debt. They got credit card debt. They've got loans for student loans and everything else. They don't learn how to literally create their income. They don't learn resiliency. They don't even learn the practices of managing, of regarding their relations with each other outside of the context of dollars. Okay. If you got the dollars, then I'll be nice to you. If you don't have it, then, screw you. These are the things that actually are part of the degradation and the fragility of our society. And that's really why the society is breaking down, including the system itself, the monetary system. Just saying. However, all that said, even as I watched the rest of this fellow's video on the CBDC, his result or his suggestion was for people to buy gold, buy other, buy stuff, or even if it's buying cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency that's thought to be the thing is Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin, dollar. And again, here is people putting value into their value into the Bitcoin so that they can buy some of it back as though they have value once they have enough of it. The thing about this is that doesn't change things, quite frankly, because then even if you acquired it, even if you bought it, in order to interact, you have to sell some of it. You have to exchange some of it as though you have no value of your own. And your value is finite because it is subject to how much of the stuff that's understood to be valuable or agreed upon to be valuable now, how much of it do you have? You are still the creator of value. Each of us is still the creator of value and will always be the creators of value. However, we simply must know that that's what we are, first of all. And upon knowing it, we need to do some things. We need to do some activities that could, in fact, if you like the idea of having enough to do what you want, when you want to do it, no matter how much it costs. Maybe it's something you need to buy. I mean, I just made a post on Facebook yesterday talking about the battery that I purchased for my car. I needed a new battery for my car, and I was shocked to discover that that battery cost almost $200. And it's funny, just wondering, because I quite didn't believe it, but my mechanic, he's got integrity, etc. So, I paid the bill. But then I went out just yesterday, last night, looked on Amazon, seeing what the cost of batteries are. And I'm looking over there and I'm saying, heck, um, this was like, it was like amazing. The batteries are, uh, that $200 was low. Amazon.com. Do that. Sometimes it's really good when you can do this right while you're bring this up. Look at here and go auto batteries. OBO battery. Hmm. And it's got my car in there. So look at there. Well, 186. That was about what I paid for this Delco. 329. Here's one that's just uh 279. So $300 for batteries. Can you believe this? But this is become normal. And the last battery I spent maybe a third of that for the same car. So the point basically is this, and not to uh, drive the point home too much. The option is this. It is called Co-op Business. It is a platform that is not based on simply having money. I'm going to talk about what it's not based on. It is based on the principles of cooperation and duplication, uh, replication, so to speak. And it's also, you might even say, we talk in terms of laws of attraction and other things. You can talk about cosmic laws, if you will. But the point basically is you you form an intention, and in that intention, you are contributing. You put out. They talk about you reaping what you will sow. Well, this is in this case, you're going to sow something, knowing that it will come back to you. So if you know that what you reap, you will sow, what you put out into the world comes back to you. And oftentimes what comes back to us in our moment in our lives is a lot of stuff that we really don't want. And so then we have the the factors of deniability that allows us, or blameability, that we can point to someone else, not realizing that we are in consciousness connected to whatever it is that we experience. It is not simply something happening to us. It is something that we have created. And so one of the biggest steps, and when I hear people, and, even cohorts who talk about the co-op system, and they present it from the standpoint of the funds, the monies that you can get in return. There is a mindset, there is a mentality that is involved when you don't have enough. And there are also habits, not just habits of activity, but habits of thinking. And so I have basically spent a bit of time looking at our habits of thinking, which are also part of why we don't have enough to do what we want when we want to do it, no matter how much it costs. Now, the point is, I'm saying those things, and I am not just believing in it, I'm knowing that it is possible to create, not just for me, it's possible to create for anyone. It's possible to create for everyone, but each will have to put themselves into resonance, if you will, vibrational harmonics resonance with that idea, first of all. And you give some thought to it, you give some energy to it. And so in the co-op system, this co-op business system, this is basically what's happening here. What you would basically do is this, and I will do just the beginnings of it. I have a referral link, which is right there, which I'm not even going to, at this point in time, I'm going to it's not below, because I want people to contact me. I'd like you to contact me. Now, but what you would do once you have the link is that you would just put your information in here, your first, last name, etc. This would show up if you're using a link that I gave you. That's my registration key. You put your uh, phone number in, you put your email, etc., and you click next, and you're in. This is all it costs, so to speak, to start. The next thing, though, is once you get in, uh, you then will be invited to activate your account. And that's when you place a deposit into the system. So here's again, you're about to sow something, and you're going to sow something in the sense that you take some funds, you convert it into a crypto, and you will put it in the funds. It's either around $100 or it's either around $400. Okay, in value. Okay, this is it's not $400. It's not it's about in that value. So in this case, you can use Ethereum, you can use stable coins, etc. Whatever the value, that much value at that day, that's how much of the coins you will put into the co-op business system, and at which point you will receive 3 tokens if you did the 100, or 4 tokens if you did the $400. And in so doing, with the 3 tokens, in either case, with the 3 tokens, you will invite 3 people to do just what I did and what you have done, and you're inviting them to do the same thing. And so when that occurs, you will receive plus 10 other people. If you're using if I referred you, I will receive, but 9 others will beyond me. And then when the people that you invite, when they do the same thing, you will receive, I will receive plus 8 more. This is the way that goes. Now, what you will do by using the tokens that you receive, you will use them to invite the new people. And when they accept your invitation and join, you will be creating a stream. It starts with a trickle, but once you get your 3 that are active, meaning they have invited and they funded, you will have received as a function of that. Your income will start to go up because every 28 days there is a deposit placed into the system. However, that deposit being placed into the system need only come out of your pocket one time. No, need only come out of your pocket one time. And so the point is, when you have 3 that are active, and then the 3 who you invited have 3, that means 9 more. That means you'll have 12 people who are active as a function of your invitation. First of all, you will be receiving more than the every 28-day cost of continued activity in the platform or on the platform, first of all. And then secondly, those 9 continue to do the same thing through replication. And so there's enough coming in to cover itself every month, every 28 days, because it's 13 times. It's a baker's year, 13 times a year. From each time someone joins on and connected to your wallet, every 28 days, you're receiving something from that one. And the system basically then continues to connect more as more people join on your invitation. From the time you have your 3 and your 3 have 3, they continue to repeat the activity and your income grows. When the people that you invited, when their 3 have 3, they will be doing the same thing. And as you can see, or as you can imagine at this point, that this is a system wherein everyone's income, by diverting, frankly, a small amount of money to each other, Now we're talking about a car that is now $1,000 a month, and batteries that are $300 a month, etc. And then you've got your bills, your phone bills, that are, well, all my cell phones and my tablets and stuff like that. This is a healthy 300 plus a month. Uh, Utilities, etc., etc., etc. And these are typically just simply dialed in. This is simply the fellow that I was who was talking about the CBD, not the CBDC, but the FedNow system, for example. He talked about the end of freedom, and he's talking about it because the plan that goes along with the rollout of this CBD, this FedNow system, and particularly that's like the stages, it's the CBDC, is that there will be an ability by the issuers to essentially control the use uh, of that uh, currency, those assets. I can't call them currency, but those value assets, they actually have the authority over the use of it. And they have this authority on a number of different levels. I mean, it's not simply just uh, from from them to you directly. I was watching something just a little while ago from uh, it wasn't from uh, Robert Kiyosaki, but um, it was a podcast by him, and if I can find it, but he was commenting on the some of the plans that the Fed has in store relative to banks and their bank, like smaller banks in particular, as far as the safety and security of funds. You're now starting to see these various banks being seized, and there are all these machinations going on. And then someone was asking about the, oh, I know how I can do this. Someone was asking about the safety, you can say, of deposits in smaller banks. And they were asking Janet Yellen, who is the head of the Federal Reserve here in the U.S. Federal Reserve. And I'm queuing this up right now, and I'm going to let you listen to this. Let me do one other thing here real fast so I can just see what the heck I'm doing. All right. So this is Robert Kiyosaki with Andy Scheckman. And this was also, this wasn't done, but maybe a few weeks ago.
And you sent me this picture of Janet Yellen, which you will see.
Will the deposits in every community bank in Oklahoma, regardless of their size, be fully insured now? Are they fully recovered? Every bank, every community bank in Oklahoma, regardless of the size of the deposit, will they get the same treatment that SVBP just got or Signature Bank just got?
A bank only gets that treatment if a majority of the FDIC board, a supermajority of the Fed board, and I, in consultation with the president, determine that the failure to protect uninsured depositors would create systemic risk. And
I'm just interrupting right here. You're seeing that while we think of this as the Fed, they said not just a majority, a supermajority. What does a supermajority mean? They've got to have a large range of consensus along a specific direction, but even that's not enough. They would also consult with Yellen, as well as you said, the president. All these people are making a decision on what's going to happen. These are people doing things. This is not an institution. These are people, And she's making this long answer because she really cannot give any assurances or any answer that is going to provide an assurance, because there are no assurances to be given.
Significant economic and financial consequences.
So what is
And
your
we made
plan?
that determination.
Right. So what is your plan to keep large depositors from moving their funds out of community banks into the big banks? We have seen the mergers of banks over the past decade. I'm concerned you're about to accelerate that by encouraging anyone who has a large deposit in a community bank to say, we're not going to make you whole, but if you go to one of our preferred banks, we will make you whole at that point.
Some more ambiguity.
That's certainly not something that we're encouraging.
That is happening right now.
That is happening because depositors are concerned about the bank failures that have happened and whether or not other banks could also
No,
fail.
it's happening
And
because you're
it's-
fully insured no matter what the amount is. If you're in a big bank, you're not fully insured if you're in a community bank.
Well, you're not fully insured. And
You were at Signature, and it just barely met that threshold. You were at Signature.
well, we felt that there was a serious risk of contagion that could have brought down and triggered runs on many banks. And that's something, given that our judgment is that the banking system overall is safe and sound.
That's what you want people to think.
Depositors should have confidence in the system.
What did you hear in her DBC? Deception, betrayal, collusion. What was she saying that terrified you?
What she was saying, and first of all, thank you for such a wonderful introduction, and the feelings are mutual.
Sure.
I greatly appreciate it. What Janet Yellen was saying, we all left Monday thinking that, hey, it's okay. The banks are going to be bailed out, and it won't be at the taxpayers' expense, which we all knew was a lie. It would be at your dollar's expense or your deposits' expense, in the respect that the money had to be created out of thin air, and we just figured that would mean more inflation. And so all of the banks, regardless of their poor choices, their gambling, if you will, in depositors' assets, and we'll talk about that in a moment, that they'd be bailed out, and that this would just be an ever-increasing party of printing and of backstopping the banks. And what she said yesterday was truly shocking to me. Basically, she was being grilled by a senator, I believe, from Oklahoma. And what he was asking was, so are you telling me then that all of the small regional banks in my state will be backed by the full faith and credit of the Fed, so that none of these banks are going, if they fail, they will all be bailed out the way that
Silicon
Valley, thank you, Bank did, and the other one that just failed as well. Sorry, my brain is
Signature Bank.
It's kind of like a Nerf ball these days.
I want to stop here too. He made a comment about the he would do that. He made a comment about the banks being backed by the full faith and credit of the Federal Reserve. And see, this is again a place where the true sources, the true backbone of it all are you and me. I saw something, and I have to check it out a little bit, because I saw something that basically suggested that the dollar was actually backed by the debt, the U.S. debt. So dollars are debt instruments. So every time you use one, you're literally creating and increasing a debt. And the debt, national and otherwise, debt is increasing faster than it's possible. It's actually not possible to cause it to decrease. because in order to pay even the interest on the loans requires the creation of new debt. So the only real solution to this, first of all, is what's happening, because it's not sustaining. Your value is continuing to go down. They are trying to basically move and sweep people in broom strokes into their systems. And so people were thinking that the FTX situation was there to destabilize the crypto space. It was done to destabilize and to diminish confidence in the crypto space, to have people still sitting on their fingers, on their hands, staying away and afraid. But then that wasn't it either. That wasn't the totality of it. It was also to start bringing down, because the banks that were involved, I know particularly the Silicon Valley Bank, is also a crypto friendly one. The other ones, the connections are there to be seen. But still, even as small banks, because they simply just seized the Silicon Valley Bank, and that may have been because it was a tool they just wanted to take control of, and they just did. Okay, so when you've got regulators who themselves are not being regulated, when you've got government officials who are not being governed by whom? The people who actually are paying it. You're paying it. We are paying. We're doing the paying, but we are not governing the people who are there on the premise of governing and looking out for our best interests. They're looking out for their own interests. I won't even say it's the best, because if my interest is not included, if yours is not included, then it's not the best. There's a better way. And so what do you do though? These are the things, this is the tide that is happening as of the moment. And this is where and why cooperation is the answer, the plausible answer. Because when you divert a small amount of funds into, I say a small amount, it's either $100 or it's $400. And it's a commitment that you're willing to make. Actually, that's upfront. When it gets down to each 28 days, it's $28 plus $280 is what it is on every so it's $308 if you do the second. I didn't talk about that other fourth token. And each of those tokens represents a pool of and a privilege, if you will, of of partaking from it. You put into it, you sow seeds into it, therefore, meaning you're putting funds into that pool, and you're active. Either you invite people in a timely manner, because you get 28 days for that second token, which is $280 plus fees, etc. So the two together are inclusive, and so that second token gets you 28 days as well. So it's $10 a day. And the first one, you have 3 tokens, but they're 3 co-op 28 tokens. They each give you 28 days too, or $1 a day. So your actual monthly is either $28 every 28 days or $308 every 28 days. I think that is what it is. Okay, every 28 days. And so the point is, when you have your 3 who've joined, and then they have their 3 who have joined, you're receiving more than that on either case every 28 days, so that you're not out of pocket anymore. But what you are doing in the meantime is that when you join, you have your own wallet. And I've really started to getting an appreciation for the simple value of having a wallet, having a repository of your own value, we have, PayPal. I did a video last week and we showed how PayPal grew, and they've got however many hundreds of millions of users right now. And if someone's got 10, 15, or 100 or $1,000 in their PayPal account, all that value, all those funds are there for the use of PayPal. Same thing for any bank, but you've seen others, other companies, other corporations, such as Apple, for example. They've had their Apple Pay. Why? Because millions and millions of people have their phones, their instruments, and some of them are using them now as vehicles for payment. Cash App is the same type of situation. They have several million users now, and they came out of nowhere less than 10 years ago, and now they're several billions of dollars. But you and I, we don't think about having our own wallet that is really our own. Now, wallets are the way that money is going to be exchanged. In order to use this FedNow system, you're likely going to have a wallet that is issued by the federal government. Okay, so they know who you are, they know what they're sending, and they have some authority to determine the appropriateness or the permissiveness of whatever you're intending to do. Now, it's not going to be intrusive in the beginning. However, and it don't have to go any further than however. I'm not even wanting you to think about how it can be, but they are thinking about how it can be and how they want it to be. Your issue, my issue, is simply what do I do for it to have a minimal impact on my life? Okay. Now, and so in the case of and with co-op system, all you have to do is 100 or 400. It doesn't matter if you have thousands of dollars, if you have millions of dollars. In order to interact within this system, all you need is $100 or $400 of value that you convert into crypto and put it into the system. And then your main activity and your main effort, your main goal is to invite 3 people, just 3 people. Now you can invite 10. You invite till you get 3, okay, for one thing. And perhaps after you have 3, as you see how this is happening, some people may start coming to you and seek an invitation, because the beauty of this system and the beauty of this principle of cooperation is that anyone can do it. We have this idea that once someone is a certain way, they can't change things. They are just who they are. Their situation is just what it is. That is an erroneous way of looking at things. We are looking at the pie as finite, as we've got to fight for the slices, and when it's gone, it's gone. The pie grows. We are creators. We are not simply cogs in a wheel that has no intelligence whatsoever or an ability to correct itself or fix its situation. When you see something is going in a wrong direction, you have the abilities to go in a different one. You have the ability to say no. You have the ability to say yes to something else. It doesn't have to be either or. So I'm suggesting, and I'm inviting you to to join Co-op Business and join this cooperative platform, because it allows each to do the same thing with the same work. It is not based on the money you have. But when you do these things, because of the repetition, it creates efficiencies like nothing else. So that the amount that you're putting in is not that much. The amount of effort that you need to actually apply to this is not that much either. Really, when you get down to it, you need to talk to people. You need to invite them. You need to reason with them in terms of answering their questions. and they need to want to do the same type of thing that you want to do. What do you want to do? You want to create an ongoing, substantial flow of income so that you can do what you want when you want to do it, no matter how much it costs. Today, you can convert crypto into fiat, and even though they're attempting to do whatever they're attempting to do relative to the first, if they were dismissing, first they were certainly dismeaning as far as Bitcoin and stuff is concerned. That didn't work. Why? Because people were using it anyway. People were not doing it. I mean, if this situation exists because they're trying to maintain some control. I mean, and even if it means they're trying to keep their system going, even if it means taking your assets or they're trying to do it by influencing you as they can't outright control you, so to speak. But there must be an answer to every problem. There's must got to be a universal law somewhere for that. But I know this, the co-op business platform, the cooperative method is an answer to these issues that no other ones are. I have so many friends, I have so many associates who have things that they want to do to help change, to improve the nature of things here on this planet, but they have to go to someone else who has funds, who doesn't have the vision, who doesn't have the inclination, and who seem to be sworn to want to stay lord over the funds as opposed to fix the things that need to be fixed. So here you are. Here's an opportunity to do something yourself, to actually create the flow and then deal with it. What can happen if, how would life be different if you and you and you and you and we and more people had enough to do what they want, irrespective of what these folks are trying to get them to do, who have no real clue or concern, no true concern. They're more concerned about their institution than they are about your well-being. Yeah. Oh, shut up. So, at any rate, that's my thought. That's what I have to share. I'm going to just check out. I do this live now because sometimes it's just what I'll say, convenient for me to sit down and actually start talking. And I can also bring some of these videos in and let you hear from snippets from different people. But see, to me, buying gold for someone who's trying their best to pay $1,000 notes for their cars, or the monthlies for their homes, for their rents and things like that, or whatever else it is. Who's got the funds to go out and buy gold, and how practical is that? The cryptocurrency space is practical because you can exchange value. You are the value, I am the value. We are the value creators. And the point is, we have become accustomed to not thinking of ourselves and each other's with value or as value. And also, therefore, because we objectify that into our stuff or into the money that we have, and we've been educated and other types of things to kind of solidify that as a way of thinking. But because of that, we tend not to have enough coming in. Most of the population of this planet is in that particular state. And the way that people are actually managing this monetary system today is really promising more of the same. Uneasiness and anxiety about things, about anything other than what they want you to be confident in, and no true integrity in the system that they want you to rely on only. They want you to rely only on that, and they want to do what they can to funnel you, to sweep you to whatever they need to do into that system, which itself is faulty and not to your. I mean, we're talking about your efforts, things that you've earned, contributions you've made to the society, which are not being valued either. I mean, we literally are thinking that welfare, for example, that people are doing something for nothing. And then there are a lot of people, quite frankly, who are doing nothing for something. And if they got a lot of something, oftentimes you know, they're the ones who are celebrated, so to speak. You got to look at the significance, the impact of what people are doing, and you got to see them as people, not institutions. And you got to see yourself as one who is of value, who creates value, and who certainly deserves it. And you give what you feel you deserve. So that's my thought. I will put my you can look me up on you can look me up on Twitter, on Gab at Self Knower. Look me up on Facebook. I'm there. Some people, I will say this now before I go. So there are people every once in a while I get intruded upon on Telegram, and I tend to delete those unless unless I know them, or in some kind of way I have a sense that they, maybe I'll respond. But generally speaking, if I haven't sought someone and I'm not familiar with who they are, I look at profiles and stuff like that, and most of the time, just about all the time, I simply delete them. Now I'm looking for people to invite themselves to contact me, that we can discuss this situation and how that we together can move forward with this. However, truth is, and being truthful is not a big thing in our society right now, especially as it relates to money. And that's what I love about this too. You got to be true, starting with yourself, and true with the people that you care about, and they need to be also true to themselves. This is a different thing right here in our midst. So I will sign off. I thank you for watching. Thank you for your interest, and reach out. Until next time, peace. Be well. Be prosperous. Be cooperative. I love you all. Gee, the all just went off. And that's it. See ya.